Hi guys, welcome back to 100% Mags. So I hope you're all staying safe and well there. So in today's video, we are going to be reacting to the Premier League fixtures which have just come out today. I'm also going to be giving you my thoughts as well on the retained list that Newcastle United put out, as well as giving you my thoughts on the recent news circulating around about Nico Barella. So there's quite a bit to get into. So without further ado, let's get into it. So starting off, we will talk about, of course, the Premier League fixtures. Then we'll get on to the talk about the retained list, and then the, of course, final piece of talking about the Nico Barella news. So the fixtures are out. Newcastle United now know what our fixtures are for the 23-24 Premier League campaign. And I've got to say, looking at these fixtures, it does look very, very fishy, as, of course, quite a few of the matches look like they have been hand-picked for, of course, to cause controversy with us Newcastle United fans. Now, looking at the first game of the season, we kick off our season at home at St James's Park against Aston Villa, who finished 7th in the Premier League last season, found themselves into the Euro Conference League for this season, of course. And then the game after that, of course, is against Manchester City away at the Etihad. Now, the first game of the season, of course, against Aston Villa will be live on TV as well. That will be on Sky Sports for that game. So that is going to be interesting to see, how the commentators react to that game, as we know they've been quite dodgy of late when they've been commentating on Newcastle games, being very one-sided. But of course, that second game in, being Manchester City at the Etihad, it is a bit of a tough one. The third game after that, of course, is Liverpool at St James's. Again, it's going to be another game where it will be a tough game. Then, of course, we've got Brighton away down at the MX. Then we've got Brentford at St James's Park. So looking at them first 5 games of the season, they're not the best, to be honest. Obviously, getting Man City's second game into the season, then Liverpool third game into the season, isn't the best. But also, aside from Man City and Liverpool, also getting Brighton in there as well after the season that they've just had isn't exactly fantastic neither, and especially down at the MX as well. It's going to be an interesting one, how we go about, of course, these games. But moving on from the Brentford game, we'll then go into, of course, a game against Sheffield United, one of the newly promoted sides into the Premier League. That is down at, of course, Bramall Lane on the 23rd of September. Of course, all these dates could be rearranged as well, according to TV matches, because the broadcasters can move them around for TV. So, of course, these dates of these fixtures, of course, at the minute are just temporary. They're not permanent fixtures, dates, so they could be rearranged to a different point. But then, of course, on the 30th of September, we'll take on Burnley. Then, of course, we move on to the next game in the October fixtures. And looking at the October fixtures, we've got West Ham, Palace and Wolves in there. They're not too bad. Of course, we do have Champions League around these points as well. So it's going to be interesting to see, what happens there. But they're not too bad, the fixtures for October: West Ham, Palace and Wolves. They are winnable games, I would think. We could come away from them with 3 points in the bag. Moving on to the November fixtures, of course. And then you've got Arsenal, Bournemouth, and Chelsea. Now, Arsenal's a home game, Bournemouth's a away game, Chelsea's a home game. So 2 home games in November. Of course, we do have, like I say, the Champions League playing around at this point as well. So 2 home games in November isn't bad. A game against Arsenal, then the away game, of course, against Bournemouth, then a home game against Chelsea. So not too bad for the November one. But the December one is, again, the busy end of the season. This is where of course, you start getting a lot of matches thrown at you quite quick in the Christmas period. It's always the same around that festive period. And of course, to start off that December period of fixtures, we've got Man United at St James's Park again. Like I say, these could be rearranged due to broadcasting reasons, but Man United 2nd of December at St James's Park. Then, of course, not long after that, we've got a quick flip around to a game against Everton for the 14th time as well in the past 14 years. We have had Everton in a midweek fixture, and it has happened again this time this season, of course, with us on the 5th of December taking on Everton in an away fixture down at Goodison Park. Then, of course, a quick turnaround again to another game away, and that is down at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium to take on Tottenham, of course, in that game on the 9th of December. 16th of December, we'll have a home game against Fulham. Then, of course, we'll take on yet another newcomer to the Premier League in Luton on the 23rd of December. That's an away game down at their stadium. 26th of December is Nottingham Forest, so Boxing Day fixture against Nottingham Forest at St James's Park as well, which is a good one. It means that our fans don't have to travel on a Christmas Day to get to this game. And then on the 30th of December, just before the year is out, we take on Liverpool at Anfield. That is going to be an interesting one to see how that game plays out. But then the first game of the brand new year, 2024, in January, will be against Manchester City at St James's Park on the 13th of January. Then after that game, it'll be the 30th of January to take on Aston Villa. Then, of course, we'll move on to the February fixtures, where we'll have Luton in a home game, Nottingham Forest in an away game, Bournemouth in a home game, and Arsenal in an away game. Again, them fixtures don't look too bad. There's games in there, the Luton one, Forest one, and the Bournemouth one, where I do believe we could come away with max points on them games. The Arsenal one will be a bit of a tricky one, being that it is down at the Emirates. Moving on to the March fixtures, we've got Wolves, Chelsea, Palace, and West Ham. Again, similar to the February one. I do believe we could pick up max points in the games. The Chelsea one, I'm not that bothered about, to be honest. It all depends how they go into the transfer window and what they do in the transfer window, as with most of the other games as well, how the teams perform in the transfer window. But I do believe we could get max points in most of them games in March. In the April fixtures, we've got Everton, Fulham, Tottenham, Man United, and Sheffield United. So again, I do think we could do quite well in that one as well. But of course, we do have the cups around this point as well to deal with. So, we'll have to see what happens as we'll get to that point when it comes around to that point. And then, of course, we end off the season in May with an away game against Burnley, a home game against Brighton, and we end off the season once again with yet another away game down in the capital to take on Brentford on the 19th of May. Again, these dates, like I say, could be rearranged due to TV broadcasts, but looking at the fixtures, I'm not very happy at the way our opening fixtures have been arranged to get Man City, second game into the season, then to get Liverpool as well. Third game into the season isn't exactly fantastic, but at the end of the day, I'm not too worried, because, like I say, it all depends on what we do in the transfer window and what other teams in the Premier League do in the transfer window as well. If we go out there in this window and we're recruiting Nico Barella, like we are being linked to, then that is a fantastic signing for us. That is a player that has played Champions League football last season. He was in the Champions League final for Inter Milan as well. He's played in the Euro final as well against England, so he's a player that knows what he's doing. He's got that experience, so if we could add that kind of quality into our team going into this season, then anything is possible in them opening 5 games. But they are tough 5 games to start off with, especially the Man City game. But like most people say, it's best to get Man City at the start before they get a chance to, to build their momentum up and build up their confidence. And that isn't too bad of an area to get them. Second game in, they haven't really had a chance to start building up their confidence for the season. And it does take Man City a little while to get themselves in the swing of things. So, it could be a good result that we have gotten them at that point. The Liverpool one will be an interesting one because we all know that the officials will be completely behind them, trying to do everything they can, to make sure that we slip up on that one. But let's hope, that we've got the quality in the tank to come out and see the result that we deserve to get, and the result that we should get out of these games. We want to see a good result, in the first 5 games, because that, will help us go forward in this season as well. And especially if we're having Champions League football, we need to hit the ground running in the Premier League, to keep that momentum going, the confidence going in the team as well. And looking at these fixtures, they do look a little bit hand-picked, in my opinion. But let us know your thoughts, of course, about that down in the comments below. But looking at the retained list of players, we'll talk a little bit about that retained list that come out by Newcastle United. Of course, on the list, players that were mentioned was, of course, Kieran Clark, who will be leaving Newcastle United. One that I am really sad to see leaving Newcastle is, of course, Matty Longstaff, who was among the players to be leaving Newcastle at the end of his contract. Although, of course, Newcastle will be keeping a hold of him for the moment as he is injured. So they want to make sure that he is fully fit before he does leave Newcastle, which is a fantastic thing to see. Thinking about the lad's career and getting him fit and ready, for to be able to move on to another club is absolutely perfect and the right way to go about it as well. We don't want to be sending the lad out there, injured, and then it's hindering his career and costing him his career in football. Hopefully one day we will see him make a return to St James's Park to wear the black and white like we've seen with Dan Burn. Hopefully we'll see something like that with Matty Longstaff down the road. But Newcastle have triggered an option to retain Richie's services for another season, while offers have been made to Paul Dummett and Loris Karius as well. And the club have taken an option to extend Mark Gillespie's contract for a further year. And Dan Burn has activated another year on his existing contract based on appearances. Chrissy Wood will make a permanent move to Nottingham Forest on 1st of July after spending the second half of last season on loan at the City Ground, and also leaving the club on the youngsters side, of course, is Harry Barkley, Neil Brookwell, Dan Langley, Joe Oliver, Josh Stewart and Isaac Westendorf as well. Newcastle have activated options to extend the stays of Amadou Diallo, Michael Adewini, while contract offers have been made to Will Brown, Nathan Callion, Kyle Crossley, James Huntley, Jamie Miley, brother, of course, of Lewis Miley, and Josh Scott have all been offered contracts to stay on at Newcastle United's youth team. At under 18 level, second-year scholars Ben Parkinson and Kieran Thompson have agreed professional contracts, while Eden Page has taken the option of a third-year scholarship as he continues his recovery from a long-term injury. Bew Beresford, Stephen Bassett, Lucas Cooper, Callum McNally and Nathan Nkulu will depart the academy this summer. And Newcastle, of course, thanks all of the players leaving St James's Park for their efforts and wishes them every success for the future. Of course, other players that remain under contract at Newcastle United is, of course, with first teamers like Almiron, Carl Darlow, Dan Burn, Martin Dubravka, Ryan Fraser, Bruno, of course, Joe Linton, all the usual suspects. But there's talk about Carl Darlow moving away from Newcastle United and being linked to a move to Middlesbrough or Hull. So he could be out the door soon. Ryan Fraser is another one that is being linked away from Newcastle United with a loan move to Norwich City. So keep an eye on that one as things develop going forward. Also, another player that could be on his way out as well is Jeff Hendrick. Obviously, Hayden as well. Another player that could also be on the way out as well could be Lascelles, as he's being linked with moves away from Newcastle United as well, but at the moment remains under contract at Newcastle. Jamal Lewis is another one that could be linked to move away as well, but has also remained under contract at the moment. Longstaff remains under contract. Manquillo, Murphy, Pope, Maxi has been linked with moves away, but at the moment remains under contract. Shaw is remaining under contract in Newcastle. Target as well remains under target. Trippier remains under target. Rodrigo Velka looks like he could be moving away, but at the moment remains under contract. Callum Wilson and Chris Wood. Of course, Chris Wood is going to Nottingham Forest. Callum Wilson remains under contract. Aged under 24. Under contract for Newcastle, of course, is Elliot Anderson, Harrison Ashby, Matt Bonswell, Botman, Reece Bain, Lucas Dybala, Amadou Diallo, Cameron Ferguson, Anthony Gordon, Jordan Hackett, Alexander Isak, Garang Cole, Charlie MacArthur, Alex Murphy, Michael Underwinnie, Remy Savage, Jude Smith, Ellis Stanton, Dylan Stevenson, Max Thompson, Jay Turner Cook, Kel Watts, Joe White, and Charlie Wiggett, and of course Joe Willock as well. In aged under 24, offered contracts were Will Brown, Nathan Callion, Kyle Crossley, James Huntley, Jamie Mailey, and Josh Scott. Them are, of course, the players on the retained list. So let us know your thoughts, of course, down in the comments below on everything that has been said in this video. Do you agree with the players on the retained list as well? I think there's been some pretty good decisions made there, and some not so great decisions made there as well. But let us know your thoughts, of course, down in the comments below. What's your thoughts on the fixtures as well? Do you think they've been hand-picked, or do you think they are pretty fair fixtures going into this season? And also give us your thoughts on Nico Barella as well. Do you believe Nico Barella's news to be real, in that he is, of course, coming to Newcastle United and that Newcastle are targeting him? Or do you think it is complete and utter transfer speculation once again by media outlets? But let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. As always, remember, like, share, subscribe to 100% Mags, and I'll see you all in the next one. However, lads.